I had a really interesting realization today when I was learning about Enneagrams. I discovered that I'm an Enneagram 8 with the 7 wing the other day, but my Myers-Briggs personality test has always been an ENFP. I've retaken the Myers-Briggs and other MBTI tests throughout, I don't know, years and years and years, just to see if it stays the same. And I always get ENFP no matter what I am expressing or going through in my life. So I started to think about videos about the combination, right? And if there was any videos on YouTube where people are explaining what it's like to be an ENFP and a Enneagram 8. Because I always love hearing other people's insights about certain systems. It's a beautiful way to learn. It's a beautiful way to express. But almost every video I came across said something like ENFPs are usually Enneagram 7s or 3s. And I was like, what? That And then I was like, I'm not a 7 or a 3. Like, I have a wing 7, so yes, I do have the excited, exploratory, curious, energy that, the bubbly that fits. I get why they're saying ENFPs are like that. But I kept remembering that doesn't describe me when I was listening to the explanation of it. And a lot of times we can get stereotyped into a certain way of being or doing things based upon what people think that system was defining that energy as. Now remember, nothing can define you but you. But if you align with something in a system that you learn, that's great because it's just another tool to help you express who you are. But since those didn't describe me, I wanted to make a video to just tell my story of being an ENFP with an Enneagram 8, because it might be a little bit different than someone who has a 7 or a 3 that's an ENFP. So the Enneagram system is a personality system with 9 core types. Each type is defined by a core motivation or fear. The Myers-Briggs, or an MBTI system, which is where I get my ENFP identification as, is a personality framework about how your mind processes information and how you think, decide, and perceive the world. The key distinction is MBTI is how your mind works and Enneagram is why you act. My ENFP thinking style often includes being imaginative, pattern recognizing, meaning making, curiosity about people and systems, connecting ideas and possibilities. That's how my brain explores life. That might be how you engage with me. You might get ENFP energy, even though at times I do need my alone time. I'm very calm too, right? An ENFP type, a lot of people might think it's just bubbly and overt and extroverted all the time, but it actually needs a lot of alone time, right? It's the most introverted of the extroverted types. It's super funny. And also remember, there's a shadow side, a mirror, like an anti side to all of this energy. So sometimes, depending on what I'm going through in my life, I might fall into my shadow side, which is more of the energy of my, I think it's a iron. No, yeah. I don't know. My shadow side. Wait, I usually know this. I don't know. INFJ? No. INJ's last. Yeah, whatever. Okay, we're just gonna skip it because I can't. My mind just blinked. I don't want this to be too long of a video, so we'll just let that go. Anyway, so I just say all that to say is, like, there is layers to it, right? There's layers to the whole understanding of what motivates you and why you do things. And the Enneagram is wonderful because it brings in that element of, your core motivation. So when I hear about ENFPs having core motivations that are 7 and 3s and I have an 8, I'm like, okay, I want to share my story to show why my ENFP energy holds 8 and why someone else's might too. Because you never know what someone's core motivation are. You're not them. And it's always good for us to express these things so we can get to know different facets of each other, and we can learn that we're all different in how we express and maybe think and feel, and the reasons. It's really the reasons why we do things. And it just helps paint a better picture, a more beautiful picture for the collective understanding that we're all serving a similar purpose and experiencing this life, but we're just doing it in different colors and expressions. So Enneagram is less about behavior and more about the engine beneath the behavior. So the question becomes, what actually motivates me? What is the deeper reason behind my reactions? I started to think about this because I'm like, okay, many Enneagram teachers say your core type appears clearly between ages 5 and 12, right? These are formative years. I'm like, let me start reflecting back and seeing how I was. I got it. Yay. It was like a hair on my face. I didn't think I was going to be able to get it because the sun's in my eyes, so I can't really see myself. But anyway, feels good. What was I like during that time, since those are formative years, and these are the years before society fully programs you to behave how you should behave, right? If you're lucky, you have pulled all of those programmings out of yourself and you are who you were always supposed to be in your core, or you never fell for the trick in the first place. And if that's you, lucky you, stay true. And if it's not you and you're still stuck, get out. Get out now and free yourself to be yourself. But anyway, I digest. But I asked myself, what motivated me as a kid, and what pattern kept repeating in my life as a kid? So I thought about a couple experiences, and then I started to realize moments where someone tried to control me, moments where, or situations where authority or fairness were like coming at me, what felt like internally like to be a kid at that age, and how I responded to the things. And I remember there were like 3 stories that stood out to me. It was like one when I was really little, I think 5, my grandma like dressed me and my sister up in like matching Easter outfits, and she wanted us to go to like Easter service, and we had been doing that for so many years. But this Sunday I didn't want to go. I'm 5. I remember this. We have photo proof of like my really frowny, like mad face. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. I didn't like the hat. I didn't like the gloves. That was itchy. Like, this is not, I didn't want to do this. I did not want to go to Easter service. And literally she was like, you don't have a choice. You have to go. And that just like triggered me to just be like, oh, no, no. So I immediately just became silent. I became angry and pouty, and I started crying, and no one was moving me anywhere. Like, and if you were going to move me, that's fine, but just know I'm going to be up in here like this. And my grandma and my mom at the time are very much more socially aware. My mom's always telling me, read the room. I'm like, I have read the room. I still don't care. Like, type of personalities, which is good. Like, it's good to be compassionate towards others and understanding, but you can sacrifice in those situations, right? To like keep up a face or keep up with the Joneses, whatever. They were not doing that. They were not gonna take me acting like that there. So I didn't go. And we have photo proof of my attitude. And yeah, that can come off to you as being stubborn or like willful, but that's just was the truth. And then that theme presented itself again when I was like 7 and we were doing brownies, and I didn't want to stay for the brownie meeting that day. I wanted to go home. I was tired. I wanted to go home. And I remember I called home and they told me that I had to wait and they would come and get me later. And I said, okay, I hung up the phone and I proceeded to find my way out of the school. I don't know how I got out. Like, angels are always helping me. And when I want something, the universe helps me get it. At 7, I had never walked home before, didn't know anything about it. We were always like pick up, drop off, kind of kids, take the bus kind of kids. And I walked home. I didn't care. And I remember I showed up, my grandma was like, I said, I wanted to come home. So I came home. Like, you telling me I had to stay was not going to make me stay. And then I remember again in middle school with my parents, I was doing band for about a year and a half before that. I was playing the clarinet, and I just didn't like the clarinet. I used to break my reeds, like, so I didn't have to play because you had to buy like new reeds. But I would always say I didn't have money to buy the reed. I just didn't want to play it anymore. And we were signing up for all of like our programs and stuff in the end of summer before school year started. And my parents were like, okay, you're signing up for band. I said, I don't want to play the clarinet anymore. I was like, I don't mind going to play the flute or something different. I was like, but I don't want to play the clarinet. I don't like it. They were like, no, you have to play the clarinet. You have no choice. You have to. And I'm pretty sure they had some like concept that, you have to finish things and you have to like stay diligent or whatever. But I didn't want to play the clarinet. I don't think they understood that. So I remember going up to my room and being like, I'm running away. That's it. I'm not living here anymore. It was that big of a deal to me. And I remember running away. It took me 9 hours to walk to my grandma's house, but I did it. And I didn't care. And again, my grandma was like, I showed up, she was just like, again? Like, I was like, I don't want to be, I'm not playing the clarinet. I'm not playing the clarinet. And I remember they came and picked me up. They didn't even know I was gone. Okay. They thought I was just in the room, like just whatever. They didn't know. Like, no, I'm either like, I'm not playing the clarinet. I'm not. And I remember my parents were like, I didn't end up playing the clarinet, just so you guys know, like, because in my mind at that point, I had decided that I was either going to die or not play the clarinet. It didn't matter to me. Like I wasn't doing it. And there was nothing they could do to make that happen. And those stories kind of like started to make me realize that my own personal like autonomy and my desire to not just do what I wanted to do, but like have my freedom and my will not be taken from me were the core thing that always showed up in my life during those years. I'm very strong-willed, and looking back, that pattern became obvious. Like my core motivation was about my autonomy, like not rebellion for the sake of rebellion, because I wasn't trying to rebel just because. It was because my deep instinct was you can't control me just because you want to. If something makes sense, I'll collaborate. That's cool. If something is fair, I'll participate. Even with the band thing, I didn't say I wouldn't do band. I just didn't want to play the clarinet. Like, but they were so adamant on, no, you have to do this. And there was no reason in my mind for that. And I'm like, no, I don't have to do it. And I won't be controlled for control's sake. That never worked on me. And I realized that was my core motivation, right? That's the cool thing about personality systems being used as tools. They can help you understand patterns. They're not about placing you in boxes, but about how two people might have the same way, right? Two people might be ENFPs, but their core motivation can be completely different. So how I come across as an ENFP might feel different than how someone who is a 3 or a 7 Enneagram comes across as an ENFP, right? You might get a little bit more calm forcefulness from me than you would someone else. And that's because my core motivation is all about my autonomy. You know, if you've ever taken a personality test and thought this doesn't fully describe me, the issue might not be the system, right? It might be that you need to take a deeper look at your core motivation, not just the behavior. Sometimes the answer shows up when you remember who you were before you were told who you should be. So, me realizing that I'm an ENFP with an Enneagram 8 core motivation actually made everything make a lot more sense. My mind explores life through curiosity, patterns, and meaning, but the deeper engine inside of me, underneath the exploration, is freedom and autonomy. And understanding that about myself felt incredibly empowering, right? That's a difference between an ENFP that maybe is going to flee or avoid a situation or ignore it, as to one that is going to directly take action towards going where they want to go, right? And setting the situation to know that you just can't control me. So when you like do anything in your life, remember that you are the amalgamation. I always love saying that word, so I'm grateful that I got to use it, of all of the parts, all of the pieces. And these systems are great tools to use to reflect on who you are. Remember, they're not boxes. They don't have to be labels that you take on that become your personality. They can just allow you to awaken to concepts of understanding who you are. You know that song? Who are you? Ooh, 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 ooh. It's a beautiful question. Who are you? Love you.